Hey everyone, this is More Than Just Trucks, a podcast for gearheads, truckers, and anyone who wants to learn more about the trucking industry. This podcast is sponsored by Truck Country and Stoops-Freightliner. Come along with me as we dive deeper into what makes this $700 billion industry an essential part of all our lives. Here, we will interview industry leaders, educators, and more as we aim to inform the population on all things trucking. Hello and welcome to More Than Just Trucks podcast. I'm your host, Ray Clark. And on today's show, we have our most recent TTP apprenticeship group with me here. And they're kind of from all over the locations. We got Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Dyersville, Madison, and even Hampshire, Illinois. So be sure to drop me any of your wants or needs to listen to the podcast and hear about more. So let's welcome to the show. We've got Aiden, Chris, Ethan, Matt, Brandon, and Diesel with us today. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. So let's start with Matt.
Name's Matt Shanzy. I'm from the North Chicago, Hampshire location. Been with Truck Country for almost 2 years now. And before that, I've dabbled a little bit of everything in the automotive industry, mechanic, tire shop, junkyard, you name it, I've done it.
Wow. Okay. Brandon
Miller from the Hampshire location, North Chicago.
What'd you do prior to coming into work with Truck Country? Weren't you in the military?
Yeah. I worked on Blackhawks, UH-60s, Alphas, Limas, and Mikes. Did that for a couple years. Was a manager at a few stores. Kind of just done a little bit of everything.
Okay. All right. Ethan.
Hello, name's Ethan Doughty. I'm from the Dubuque location. Been with Truck Country for about a year and 2 months. Before Truck Country, I went and did a year at NICC for diesel mechanics. Before that, worked at machine shop in Cascade. Was also a scuba regulator repair tech and rental employee on the island of Guam.
I was going to say that
3 years.
that gets interesting. So where in Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa, do you scuba dive? So that was in Guam?
Yeah, it was Guam when I was scuba diving.
Okay. All right. Chris.
My name's Chris Daninger. I live in Stoughton, about 20 miles south of Madison. So I work at the Madison Truck Country. Been there for about 8 months. Started out in aviation. Had to get a college degree for that, so did that. Worked my way through school. Did a little of everything. Kind of found out that if you got skills, you make more. Or did a lot of construction. Got a CDL. Drove bus for a while. When I got out of school, I drove construction, did some truck mechanics for a while, and then got into flying for about 10 years. 9/11 happened, kind of killed all my opportunity for the future. So I was pretty burnt out in aviation, so I was looking for something else. Started working part-time in a factory and stayed there for 20 years as a union steel worker. Ran mostly CNC equipment, but also drove, operated equipment, maintenance, welding. Try to do everything. I like variety.
I can say pretty well-rounded.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I liked not being pigeonholed into one thing all the time. They had a big change in management and things got very uncomfortable. So I looked for new opportunity. I can't remember how I came across Truck Country. I think they advertised. Had an interview, found out about the Earn and Learn program, and that appealed to me. I was looking to go back to school anyway. And so January this year, 8 months ago, got hired, and here I am.
Nice. Hey, you're up.
My name is Aiden Moeller. I'm from Cedar Rapids. I've been at the Cedar Rapids location for around 11 months now. Before that, I should say I graduated high school in 2021. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school. Didn't really have a clear cut plan. So I started doing garage work for a little while and then luckily ran into the service manager at the Cedar Rapids location, and I guess I was what he was looking for at the time, so kind of lucked out there and been here ever since.
Last but not least, Diesel.
I'm Diesel Clark. I'm from the Dyersville location. I've been with Truck Country 4 years now. I started off working like as a maintenance person at the training center. Then I went to the Dubuque location and washed trucks, and then came back to the training center. And then about 6 months ago, I transferred to Dyersville to become a tech.
Yeah, so to the listeners, you've heard everybody's kind of a little bit of their background and stuff. For those of you who don't know, and like I said, this is our recent apprenticeship group. So these guys have all committed to us to give them 28 weeks of training spread out throughout 3 years. So we kind of look at this, like I said, as a commit and a sponsorship from each location. So these guys are wrapping up their 14th module right now, going through heavy duty trucks system certification. So this will be it for you guys, and then it's back on the shop floor for a while, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so it's kind of interesting. You ran into the service manager where?
It's kind of a long story. So he's actually a family friend of mine. And I actually met him at a campground for the first time, and just kind of got to talking, and they're in need of work, they're in need of tech, so, and I was in need of more money at the
More
time.
money, different job. Okay.
Yep.
So how'd you guys, so you heard from the service manager and saw it, you kind of saw it through advertisement,
I
marketing?
think so, yeah. I think it was a radio ad.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. How'd you guys hear about the program?
I actually, when I applied for the program, when I applied for the job, I started off the shop maintenance cleaning guy, and then that's after it's like 9 months. Derek had approached me, the service manager had approached me about this opportunity, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Every way I've looked at it, you always got to start at the bottom.
Work your way up.
Yeah.
Good approach.
I just learned about Truck Country I've lived around the area. I knew about it for a while. I lived in Shullsburg for, what was it, like 8-9 years. So I knew Truck Country was always a place. It's just, I didn't really think about coming here until I was in NICC and instructor over there. Always talked how good a place this was to work. So I just figured I might as well apply.
So more marketing advertisement through
Yeah,
NFTs and
another guy I was going to school with also started working here, so figured might as well try it out.
stuff. Nice.
Another thing was I knew that you guys had this program and kind of fully expected to take this program to learn even more.
Good. So can you get something out for us? How'd you hear about the program, Brandon?
Well, my situation's a little funny, if you will. I didn't actually apply to Truck Country. My wife was on my Indeed, and she was just applying to jobs. I didn't.
So your wife was applying for you?
Yeah. She's like, hey, can I go on your Indeed? And I said, yeah, I don't care. Gave her my phone. She's going through, applying to a bunch of jobs. Derek calls me. He says, hey, you still interested in Truck Country? I was like, I don't know what Derek, and I don't know what Truck Country is, so goodbye. And that was that. Called him back, and I said, who is this?
That is interesting.
He goes, do you still want a job? I said, well, what company? And I just moved back to the area. Like I said, I was gone for a couple of years, doing the Army thing and all that. So Hampshire, Illinois was not even on my radar. I was like, Hampshire, like completely passing it that I lived right next to it. And I said, okay, well, who are you guys? And I started asking him questions. We talked for about 20 minutes. Him and I were not feeling each other, even remotely close. So he says, hey, how about you come in tomorrow morning? We'll redo this and we'll go from there. And then it was like 2 minutes. And he goes, yeah, I want you to come work for me.
Nice.
Didn't even know
So
it.
so over the phone, you're not impressionable, but in person, you're
I
impressionable.
wasn't impressed with him either. We
Yeah.
kind of both got that vibe, and he says, "Hey, let's just redo this. Come in tomorrow.
Come in.
Let's look at the shop. Let's introduce each other in person." And I said, "You know what? Let's do that."
Wow. Interesting. That's pretty cool. So go ahead.
I think that says a lot. That's one thing I've noticed about Truck Country is they've got that, they'll give you a chance. And that's the first time in my career I've ever experienced that, to be honest with you. Most of my career, I've worked jobs and with industries where you were treated a dime a dozen, and I don't feel that here. When I decided what I wanted to do, I looked at shops, and the Madison shop was one of the newest. I kind of watched it go up. And I was like, I was so used to working on dirt floors and with crappy equipment. I'm like, I want to get in the ground floor on this since this is the direction I want to go with.
Yeah, let alone it's like kind of a wow factor when you look at it up front because of the size in Madison, because it's got the parts warehouse. So it kind of explodes in size. So it really stands out.
Yeah. And I like how the management, like you said, Brandon, they're willing to take the time to really look at you instead of just kind of going by a formula.
Well, the cool thing is, to that same point, as far as that goes, is like from a phone call to a sit down visit, is we've got like Diesel, who is 18 years old, all the way up to Chris, who's 52. So the diversity that we have in here, the age differences, everybody comes from a very unique background from what I'm seeing and hearing. I mean, from automotive, we had military. You flew Blackhawks or worked on them?
He flew.
He flew, you worked on
aircrafts.
them.
I
Okay.
worked on them.
So from flying to, well, your list of to-dos that you've done in the past is 2 arm lengths long.
Yeah.
I heard bus driver, scuba, I mean, construction,
Aiden.
well, yeah, we all know that. So the funny joke of when I was testing speaking with Mike here, if you've used the Zoom app, they give this cutesy little music playing in the background, and Aiden thought that was SpongeBob SquarePants music that we're going to have for the show. I said politely, no, we're not going to play that one. But no, it's really cool to see these guys come through really from all different backgrounds. So like I said, I mean, honestly, we got Diesel at 18 years old. And for those of you who don't know, here we go with the smirks and stuff. So Diesel with a unique name is honestly my fault because that is my son. So he's been in the background, but really never, I guess only because in the management side for me, he's never had the opportunity to really dig in, gone back and spent some time with his grandfather and worked construction and excavating and done that where he got more hands-on, and then made the choice that this is something that I wanted to see, to career changes from out of the military, from automotive to out of a community college tech school and stuff, from maintenance. So it's kind of cool that we've got a mix of everything. So with the mix of your background, and honestly, I know this, feels like it's been 14 hard weeks, right? 14 hard modules back and forth. How do you guys feel so far? Has it had a lot of value just kind of being like, you've already got some community college background, right?
Yeah.
So how do we stand out or differentiate from automotive or from, fixing the Blackhawk cannot be the easiest. I mean, that's got to be pretty technical.
It was super technical. You guys here, the things I compare are how in depth everything is. Really break down each section, and that's kind of how we did some training over at AIT. I'd say the only difference is that there's just a lot more components. We really broke down, like sometimes we'd go a few days just going over terms, you know what I mean? So this one, you guys definitely break it down, and it's good knowledge and easy to obtain,
and keep it.
Yeah, it's really broken down. Like if you were to never have done this before, or don't know any of the terminology, or really if it's your first time picking up a tool,
right?
So
right. And I know coming from schools like from an NICC or fresh out of high school, right? I mean, typically when you're in those classes and you're in that educational scene, it's a sit down and it's your classroom day after day after day, right? And I know I've strived to try to keep our instructional side of this as hands-on as possible. How do you guys feel? I mean, is the ratio good? I mean, because like you just said, right? There's a ton of stuff really, even in our world, in the trucking world, that I think people neglect to think about, that you can't just say, here's a truck, here are the brakes, here's the parts, here's the tools, go fix it. Right? Because there still needs to be that, well, how do you go about it? Well, just show me. Because I know everybody in our industry, our world, right? Myself, let me do it by my hands, right?
Mhm.
How do you guys think the classroom side of it has been?
I think the classroom side's been pretty, I mean, besides like your first week and stuff like that, I think it's been balanced very well. And the way we go about doing the in-shop stuff, I think is, it's easier, more comfortable, yeah, you may have an instructor breathing down your back, but it's kind of more of a comfortable feeling instead of, if you're new to this, you don't know what you're doing, and they just throw you brakes and you're going, oh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot out of the program, and I'm kind of a hard learner too. So,
all right, Diesel, I'm gonna hit you up. So you've been in the training center literally for 3.5, 4 years, really.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't always sat in on any of the classes, but the cool thing for me was, I don't want to say it cool, kind of the eye-opening for me, guys, was that he was in here building training aids, putting air boards together. In an air class you guys had, right, doing the boards together. And he's like, yeah, but I don't really know. I'm like, dude, you ought to fly through this. And he's like, no, not really. I said, well, why not? He goes, you guys just kind of pointed out the valves to me, but you never broke it down in the, like, hey, this is what it does. So he literally was to that point, like, here's a component, put it on the board at X, Y, and Z mark, right?
R&R.
Yeah. And that, to me, that's not what I want to do here, right? I want you guys to know, like we won't completely ever tear down a transmission, but you'll know the gear flow, PTOs, alternators, starters, right? Take them apart, know that there's a diode trio in there, different components internally. Do we do it anymore? No, it's reman nowadays, right? But so what's been your biggest thing that you feel has stood out in your mind? What's been impressionable for you?
Kind of like the way like Todd is, like our instructor, like he doesn't just try and cram information down us. He tries to help us actually learn it and understand it. And even in in the shop, he doesn't just tell us go and do it and then like walk away. If we need help, he's kind of there to help and guide us. Coming like out of high school where they kind of just shove information.
It's just,
out.
open your head up and dump and pour. And honestly, guys, I think that's really good. I'm glad to hear that, honestly, because I mean, I know how we've got 5 instructors in here and you guys have had a couple or seen them, right? So it's like having different teachers. We all teach or instruct same way as we learn in different ways. What's been most impressionable for you, Chris?
Well, a couple things. I like the facility, of course, and the equipment. The reality now with technology is you're always going to have access to information, and I really like the access to information. I know working on my own equipment, I've taken manuals myself and scanned them, and I really appreciate being able to go to a company supplied computer and having everything I ever need right there. That's huge. Because honestly, we're working on the cutting edge of technology now with computers and everything. You have to be able to look stuff up. You can't just go and dive into a project. It's nice that information is there. You're not just kind of left hanging and told to figure it out, which I heard many times in my last career.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Well, give me some tools to do it. And I think we've got that here.
So the resources and tools are there for you guys. Yeah. So perfect, I guess, segue, right, is tools when we talk about tools. So you guys are aware, and I've spoke about the tool program, but for our audience that doesn't know this, so when these guys commit to a store location for their 28 weeks of training in this, they also have an opportunity to purchase a set of tools. And we partnered as a company with Snap-on, Mac, Matco, Tecton Tools, and now Milwaukee. So you guys have the opportunity to purchase tools and then be reimbursed up to $7,500 for that tool program. Have any of you? I know my son has taken that because he's. I see the toolboxes and the shipping packages come through the door. Have any of you guys? How do you feel about that? What's your favorite brand?
Whichever
all
one.
brands.
All brands,
All brands.
as long as they do the job, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of quality tools out there right now. It's nice you don't have just a couple of choices.
And that's, so in the beginning of the program, we only had honestly Mac tools, right? And it was nice because Mac wasn't always available in some locations and stuff. So then I was hearing more. So it's like, okay, so do we keep broadening our horizon, giving you guys more opportunities? So who else has taken advantage of the tool program so far? Brandon has? Any of you
I
guys?
haven't done the reimbursement one, but I've used
the discount?
the discount through the student websites. Yeah,
Good.
use Snap-on and Matco.
Okay. All right. And again, you guys have heard me in the classes before preach this, take advantage of that. Whether it is a reimbursement, it's still a very good discounted tech ed program for you guys. So
Oh, yeah.
favorite brand? You said kind of all of them. Don't have a favorite?
No. I like Matco tools, but I got a Snap-on box. So
Like Matco, got a Snap-on. Matt, favorite brand?
Pretty much whatever has lime green.
Okay. Lime green.
That's how I purchase my tools.
So you and I get along good. Yeah. That's kind of my favorite color. Yep. Ethan.
So far, I'd say probably about 98% of my tools are Snap-on, but
Snap-on?
that's a lot because NICC has their deal with Snap-on.
Yeah,
So
they've got
when I went through them, that's where I purchased
you purchase through those
just
guys.
tool
Okay.
set. So
Yeah. Hayden?
Probably Mac or Snap-on. I'm not really. Matco doesn't have the colors for me right now.
Okay.
The color scheme.
Chris?
Little everything.
Little
I'm
everything?
really picky. I just kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
Okay. Diesel?
Well, I have mostly Matco and Tecton tools.
So the funny thing is that I'm hearing is that there really is no single favorite for the most part. And then
tools are tools.
and then the cool thing for me is that I'm hearing colors are like whoever offers up the color that I want.
If I buy a name brand tool, I'm getting it in the color I like.
Yeah.
Which is lime green.
Okay. All right.
nobody has the colors that I want.
Yeah.
I've got my black and pink box. Nobody sells pink tools yet. So
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Snap-on has some.
Yeah. Every now and then you see some of that come out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you don't pick pink.
Not a very common color in our work environment.
So you guys all come from a very, again, you keep using the term diverse background, right? From automotive to aviation. What's the one skill set? And I'll ask each one of you. So I'll give you time. I'll give you the last, okay? What's the one skill set that you feel in these first 14 modules so far that stands out the most, that you feel you've gotten the most? So when I say the skill set, so we could even look at it as curriculum, maybe like, was it a portion of the electrical? Was it the transmissions? Was it the brakes? Was it power steering? That type thing. Diesel, go. Put you right on the spot first thing. What do you think of the best skill set so far that you've gained from it?
Probably the electrical side because I really didn't have any background or knowledge in knowing how to do any of it or knowing how to do figure out your amperage or ohms.
Side story, this kid hates electrical too. Like he's got a side project going on. If he's told you guys on his pickup truck, his old square buddy's done a new dash assembly, and it comes with its own module and then a wiring harness that has to be wired in. So it is kind of a plug and play, but there is some thought process of wiring and stuff. Yeah, he's I've heard a lot of grumbling outside the garage door. So Chris, what do you think your skill set that you've picked up the most on so far?
I can look at things and figure out how they work. I really like the information.
So information.
Finding out the things that aren't obvious. That's really the big thing for me.
Okay.
The information that really makes me more efficient.
Ethan?
I think I'm gonna have to side with Chris on that one with the whole, especially when I started, nobody really showed me how to use all the like how to get to all the manuals and make sure you're in the correct manual for the truck you're working on. So I think the thing I picked up the most was like how to use like all the DTNA, like accelerator, uptime, easy wiring, hecklet, all that stuff is probably the stuff that I needed to know the most. And then doing a lot of the hands-on stuff helped a lot too, because like in theory I knew how to do it, but I never had a
Physically.
lot of the stuff I never physically did. And I've definitely learned, like probably a lot of us that work in this field learn a lot easier hands-on than book learning.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think your number one skill set takeaway would be so far?
So far, I would definitely have to go with transmissions and clutches and stuff like that. That
Okay.
seems to be pretty prominent in my head.
Okay. Brandon? You're good?
I have no idea.
No one thing stands out.
It's your class.
It was all really good.
Okay, good. Aiden, you got anything?
Yeah, I would honestly say our electrical week was pretty big for me, just because a lot of we learned a lot of the principles of just basic electricity, and I honestly feel like that's one of the more transferable skills in this field.
For sure.
So, I really tried to soak up as much as I could that week.
Okay. For me, honestly, and I know I wasn't always in and out of your classes a lot and stuff. I like to try to be, I don't want to say involved, but I like to be there and see what's going on. For me, the two things that really stuck out for me with you guys was the presentation week and the Jeopardy. Because that was kind of cool. So I've said this and I've seen it for every class that starts up, is the camaraderie that you guys get. So from Dyersville to Hampshire to Madison to locally here in Dubuque to Cedar Rapids, right? You guys all come in, and again, I remember, right, the kind of the timid look, the nonchalant, the other quiet look. You guys were quiet, and it's like, okay, so I'm hearing from Auto World, from guy that's done everything, and like I said, he's 52 down to 18. The camaraderie that you guys have built, like between you two, I think I've seen quite a bit. Like maybe it's big brother, little brother, maybe, or I don't know what it is. It's like I can say something to that effect. That's like, so technology is what you kind of want to grasp onto.
Yeah.
And of course, maybe it was just seating because he was there next to you. And of course, at 18, technology like is at their fingertips most of the time. And
Well, I think it's impressive what Diesel's accomplished. Very much so. And I bug my daughter endlessly about this opportunity for her. She's in high school. If you just set your mind to it.
you gotta kind of want it nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I mean, by no means do I think, like, even with our program, like, I like to brag it up. I mean, we've done a great job with it, but by no means do I think we can do better, or there isn't things that are broken from here and there, right? And I think
Nothing's
that's
perfect.
Yeah.
part of that is talking with you guys, like, how do we do it better? How do we make it better? How do we keep moving forward and keep it going? But where do you guys see your career going? So, I mean, again, 18, so you're just starting out. Do you see yourself, Diesel, like literally as a technician the rest of your life? Or do you see it kind of steering up through the ranks? Is it
I would like to move up, yeah.
okay?
But I think I need the shop floor experience and then maybe the service foreman.
Okay. You want to go, Aiden, or where do you see your career?
I think about it a lot, pretty often, but just about every time my mind goes a different direction. I don't see myself going into management anytime soon, just because of the the stress I see my managers go through on a daily basis. But I've always thought, getting on the engineering side, like up on Daimler's side, I've always thought that would be a cool path to take. But
Okay. But you know what? And I'm going to jump in real quick with the hesitation of how old did you say you were?
20.
20. So to me, still young, but it's okay even to be at, I'll even use you, Chris. It's okay to be undecided of your career a little bit, right? Because you've obviously changed now. So I'll prompt it off to you. Where do you want, or where do you see your career?
Well, yeah, opportunity comes and goes. And it's nice to be I feel I'm in a spot with Truck Country where I have different paths that I can take. Right now, I'm physically able to do the work. I know I'm older, things are, change when you get older.
It doesn't get any easier.
But it's nice to know that there's opportunity to do other things and still stay with the company, still stay in the field for that matter too.
Yeah.
Because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have opportunity. Everything I've done so many things because everything I've started out doing, life happens,
Yep.
you end up going a different route. So
Yep.
you got to have options.
Yeah, that is. Matt.
Honestly, I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, obviously always open for, opportunities and new opportunities. But I would like to stick out on the shop floor for some more time. Really, kind of get to know the ins and outs and stuff like that. Then, like I said, if opportunity arises, I might take a little gamble.
Nice. Ethan.
For me, kind of want for the foreseeable future stick out on the shop floor, but I'd love to eventually either get onto the electrical side of the trucks or the engine side. I've always been fascinated with electrical. I've done middle school, I took a electrical engineering class, and then in high school I also took another electrical engineering class. I always loved electricity. I'd also like just rebuilding things and figuring out how they work. So I'd love to work on engines
On
as
the engine
well.
side of it, where it's more tear down and
Tear down and rebuild.
nowadays, I mean, I've seen trucks go a million miles before we're doing a full overhaul or tear down or anything. Not that they don't still have tear down, but even on the engine side, there's a ton of electrical that you're chasing sensors and diagnosing.
Yeah. I'm kind of one of those people. I like to do a little bit of everything. I mean, when I was in high school, I had a summer job. I worked at pretty much a daycare. Especially since my stepdad was in the military, I got a lot of opportunities for doing a lot of different things. I worked at a marina for a little while. Then, of course, I went over to Guam, worked as a rental employee for a while, and then got what really sparked the love for wanting to do like just working with my hands in general with like rebuilding or anything was I got the opportunity to do the scuba regulator rebuilds. And after I started doing that, I knew I wanted to do something that involved fixing and rebuilding stuff.
Something working with your hands.
And then I was really torn between either industrial maintenance or diesel mechanics. And I think really the main reason I did diesel mechanics was 1 year schooling instead of the 2 years.
Less class in a sense. Less
class gets me a little bit further like into the job faster. And then it was also my stepdad gave me a bit of his GI Bill for a year. So I just it was free schooling for 1 year.
Yeah.
So I figured might as well just do the 1 year. I knew I was going to like either. So I was like, might as well do the diesel mechanics. And then after hearing that you guys also had your program out here, I was like, might as well learn further because over there, it gives you really good general for like everything. But coming here, I knew I was going to get into you get into a lot more depth because you work on specifics of like, you only work on Western Stars Freightliners. So then you get into specifics of those trucks.
Yeah.
So over there, it was like a lot of like get you into knowing how to do a little bit of everything, but not into extreme depth. So
Okay. Good. Brandon, where do you see your career?
I'd say in the management side of things, for sure.
I could see that in you.
I've always been good at leading and taking care of people in a proper way. So just like throwing people to the wolves. I've had good trainers and bad trainers, so I know, at least for the most part, generally speaking, how to help someone get the information that they need and also accomplish it in a timely manner. So I see myself in management. I love using tools and I love being a tech. But as far as my body goes, I don't want to do it forever.
Right. And that's honestly, I mean, we all know that it's not, and again, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. We all know that it's rough on the body, you know. As I can tell you from my experience through the years that the tooling has made our jobs easier. I mean, we've got a truck lift now and like, honestly, how much easier or cooler is that? To me, it was kind of the wow factor, the cool factor that in a training situation, if we're trying to show you guys something underneath the truck, it's not up and down on a creeper with the instructor. It's literally lift the whole truck up and do it. So I can only imagine that shops with a 4-post lift that can lift the whole truck up to do a clutch job or transmission and have the proper tooling on it, just has got to save the knees, the back, and everything else with that.
With the equipment, it doesn't matter what size you are anymore.
Right.
I mean, anybody can do the hardest thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I know, I mean, Diesel's probably the smallest guy and Brandon probably next in line, but I know I was always the one of, hey, go get those upper transmission bolts because we can't quite reach them here, you know, and I could almost half bend over and lean over the transmission and get myself between, if it was just the right height. Even with cabs with air ride, you just, let's bump that up a little bit, give myself a touch more room and then block it off again. And it makes it handy. But so again, let's go back on the camaraderie thing. Cause like I said, I've seen you guys. So I think all but two stay. Do you stay in the hotel too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all but two stay in the hotel, right? So you guys hang out at nights from time to time?
From time to time, yeah.
Yeah. Who's got nicknames for anybody? I'm curious. Anybody got any nicknames for anybody?
I got nicknames for everybody.
I figured you would. So what's your nicknames? Can you share them?
He's sharpshooter. He's Eaton. What was yours? Damn, what was yours? He's Shitty Chance.
Shitty Chance.
What are y'all's two? Damn. I even said it like week 2. I was like, I'm gonna build nicknames for everyone.
Exactly. That's what I mean is, so how has that been though? I mean, do you feel like, because I know on our instructor side, I know Todd and Steve. So when you guys get into Steve's class and the professional level and you come back in round 2, to your point of the service information and looking things up, if you guys haven't heard it from time to time, the joke with Steve is look it up, Steve, because that's his first thing he says is like, I'm not giving you the answer. When it's there at your fingertips, you can look it up. So Steve's always like, when somebody comes and asks a question, the first thing he'll say, did you look it up? So it was kind of cool with that. And then with Todd, like I said, we very much think of you guys as a family. Every group that comes in, it kind of becomes another family. I know we tag them in a sense. We title you like the year that you start, and we have that to start. So it's 2023 A or B, right? Or 2022 A or B. I believe you guys are actually in our high teens, low 20s for number of groups that we've put through here through the years. So we did, when COVID hit, that was challenging alone. So to reflect on that a little bit, can you imagine? So you guys all went through COVID, right? And it was the stay at home, no travel things. So can you imagine being in your training path and have to have as much virtual training as you could have,
I would never done it.
you know? So it was challenging for us, right? It's like hoping like hell your coach or your foreman or somebody could help you on the shop floor and do what we've done, I guess, visually over a damn monitor, right?
Yeah.
But so we're going to wrap things up. If you were to promote the training program, what would be your one thing to say to a listener or a individual, a person looking to get into the industry? Not our company, but the industry itself. What would you give them for advice? Brandon.
Getting into the industry, not necessarily per se the schooling side of it, just getting into the industry. I'd say,
And you can promote the training program if that's how you feel.
I would say if you're getting into this field, I would wait and not be impulsive on tool buys. I would ask your peers, because there are some tools you want to buy name brand and there are some tools you don't. So I'd say get input on so you know where you're spending your money.
Excellent comment.
And then
I like
also just wait a week. That tool will always be there, you know, like you may look out.
It's hard when they get that shiny glow in your eyes, isn't
Just
it?
wait a week. You know, that they'll make another one. And I guarantee you somebody in that shop has one that you can use to borrow for the week if you need it. And I'd say just keep your mouth shut. You're definitely not the smartest guy in the room, and just always stay attentive and listen to your coach.
Nice. Matt.
If this is what you want to do, I would definitely, pursue it, because when I first got into the wrenching business, like I always told my wife, at the end of this whole journey, I want to be a diesel technician, and here I am today.
Here you are.
So if this is something you want to do, there's definitely, I don't know how many other companies do, the training situation like you guys do, but, stick it out, and you never know what could happen.
Nice. Ethan, one takeaway.
Say definitely if you're trying to get into this field, like Brandon was saying, the whole tools thing, wait, make sure it's a tool that you need before you buy it, and make sure it's not something that you want, like a high price brand or not. Would definitely say probably try to get into a place that has a training program, just so you can have that ability to learn a lot, like, and that that you're going to end up learning, because it's part of the curriculum that you're going to learn XYZ, and that you just have to have a willingness to be able to learn it, like just want to learn it.
Yeah.
If it's not something that you don't think you're going to want to do, then it'd be one of those things that why sign a 3-year contract if you are too apprehensive about it.
Yeah. Aiden,
Um,
advice for somebody, whether it be the training program, the company, or the industry.
yeah. I mean, it's been said, but I guess I'll reiterate it. You got to be willing to learn. This job it'll humble you pretty quick. I mean, not everyone knows everything, but I can speak from experience. I've watched guys come in the shop newer than me, younger than me, come in with a lot of confidence and, some kind of arrogance, say they worked on their own stuff, and then they get in the shop and they look like idiots. So you gotta be willing to learn, and you're gonna get humbled pretty
Quickly at times, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that too. That's a good statement. Chris.
Well, everybody here is willing to help, and that's kind of unusual in my experience. I can go up to anybody with a uniform and get help, or talk to them or whatever, and I think that's huge. And the other thing is the cost of an education is prohibitive for most people, especially when you're unemployed and looking for a job. To be able to get a paycheck and still learn and get assistance for tooling and other equipment that you're going to need to perform your duties, all of that is here.
Yeah.
That's unique.
Last but not least.
I'd have to go off of Aiden's, like your will to learn, and even within this company, like you can, I know mainly as a diesel tech, but we have like Stoops, which have trailer bays, so you could be a trailer tech, and then you have all the way to McCoy Construction and Forestry, so you can be a tech working on John Deere equipment. So there's always places to go or different positions.
So a variety of opportunities. So the cool thing that I heard and picked up on most of you guys, and I like it, is the training, right? I mean, the education side of it. And like I said, the humbling and the tooling thing that I've heard is good to hear, because as you guys know, you will see, you guys will intermix with another group as they come through, right? You guys have been in classes where there's some senior traditional classes going on, along with some other TTP groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we very much see it quite a bit where, to your point, is we get the younger guys or the guys that have come in and, yep, I work on tractors. I live on a farm. I know all this stuff. And it was kind of cool to hear it from you say that it's humbling, like I said, because that's a good takeaway for people listening and or coming into this industry, and the tooling alone. Those are the two best takeaways that I guess, as far as coming into the industry. And then honestly, if I had to brag a little bit and talk about the company, it is the opportunities that we have and the training programs that we have here. Like Chris said, is looking at a path, a career path, and know that, hey, I'm not going to be able to wrench forever. You said it too, Brandon. It's like, I want some leadership. So managers, when you listen to this, pay attention, because we've got some leaders in the group that are coming up through the ranks. And I think that's cool. And most of you guys have known and seen that we try very hard as a company to promote from within as much as possible. So it is good. And like you said, let's start from the bottom, work our way up, spend some time on the shop floor, gain that experience level. And management may not be for everybody, right? Aiden, you didn't want to go down that path, and that's fine, right? Everybody's got kind of got a different ideal and concept for management and leadership. So I think that's kind of cool to hear everything that I've heard.
Well, and teaching too.
Yes, and teaching. We always have opportunities. I mean, Steve is one of our senior instructors looking, I hate to joke with him about it, but it's true. He's looking for retirement as a well-deserved opportunity for him to take that time. And there's a guy that, like I said, if I could retain half of what he forgot really through the years, I think we'd be a smarter people ourselves just with having the knowledge of that. So any closing words for anybody? Anybody want to say anything?
No.
Diesel's like, yeah, I got a story to tell. No, he's like, I got nothing. Aiden's been quiet. Chris has been good. Ethan, Matt, Brandon, anybody? Any closing remarks you want to get out?
Normally I do have something, but no.
Okay.
Well, if you want to wrench on big trucks, this is a good place to start.
Good. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time today. And hopefully it wasn't too painful for you. Thank you to our listeners out there for More Than Just Trucks podcast. Download any one of our episodes on there, and you can find them right at our own Truck Country website under our About tab and my podcast tab there. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for your time today.
Bye.